allergies today too. So,
Oh.
Hi everyone. How are you? My name is Diane Willock. I'm a customer success coach with Supermoms here in the US. And I'm joined today by Maria Stanford, a customer success coach for Supermoms in the UK. And we wanted to join you live today to talk a little bit about consultancy skills and how that can boost your career and boost your salary as well. And we'll answer your questions and talk a little bit more about what we feel are some important consultancy skills to have, no matter where you are on the Salesforce ecosystem. So welcome, Maria, and welcome everybody here today. We're glad to be here. And I think what I wanted to start off with is just talk a little bit about what I see as an important skill set within consultancy skills. And that is business analysis. So some of the skills that you gain as a business analyst help you to really understand your organization more, the processes that they have to go through, and really where does your company start from and where do they want to be. So especially if you're a Salesforce admin and you're looking at how to improve those processes, what are the requirements to improve those processes, it's important, I think, to have those analytical skills and to justify why you might be making some customizations, changing up processes. So that's a really important skill that you gain while you're learning some of these consultancy skills. And I think to go along with that and to add on to that is it's a confidence booster too. So if you are learning consultancy skills, you're learning how to communicate with others. You're oftentimes communicating with stakeholders, with other users within your organization, and you have to have the reasons and the justification of why some things are being implemented or some changes are being made. So you really gain confidence in yourself when you have those skills and you are practicing your communication skills. And again, you're taking a deeper dive into organization and figuring out what they need and what processes need to be improved. You're going to be seen as that thought leader, that person that everybody needs to come to ask questions and get support. So that boosting confidence is really important. And that's one of the best things that you can learn when you're looking at consultancy skills. So Maria, I don't know if you want to add anything onto that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I kind of think, and I don't know, you'll be able to add to this as well, Diane, is, when you're perhaps in that admin role, there's two aspects to that, isn't it? Depending on what type of role you go for. So you might be in a team of admins, for example, right. And so you might have perhaps your duties and your roles kind of divided over that team. So you might not get as much exposure perhaps with that project management or that business analysis. So It might be that you want to add that skill on and upskill in that area so that you can perhaps go for that next promotion or be more involved in that project management side. Right. Which is obviously key to those successful projects, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Or you might go in as a solo admin. And you might actually need to have that confidence builder, because generally if you're a solo admin, you might actually have exposure to those elements as part of your role, but you might not really know how to implement them correctly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So there's really kind of different upskilling aspects to that, isn't it, as an admin? And that business analysis is key, to keep those projects really kind of successful, on track, and within budget. So they're really great skills to have.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's really important for any organization, for sure.
And I kind of think, I don't know about yourself, but I've certainly worked in previous roles where I've kind of been through that change management with CRMs and that implementation. And I think it's also about understanding that sometimes those business requirements of that CRM, they do adapt and change, don't they, throughout that business. So, actually having that analysis and that project management around, okay, how are we going to actually really utilize this system to work for us? But by asking those key questions, which, you might not know if you've not had exposure to that role. But having that kind of project experience, you can really get the best then, can't you, out of the CRM and manage all aspects of that to have a successful implementation, really.
Yeah, and I think that's about it, is really getting the most out of your system
Yeah.
that you have, and getting everybody on board is important. I think
Yeah.
that's something that you mentioned. If that implementation and the adoption of that system is not there from everybody within your organization, you have a big chance of failure for that. And so it's really important to understand, how are you going to approach that, and how are you going to ensure that that implementation and adoption takes place across all your users within your organization. So you're right, that's key. I think as part of business analysis, we always talk about documentation, and how important that is to have that documentation, so that you have down exactly, these are the processes that we're going to be taking, these are the requirements that we need. So again, it's about showing the story of your organization, where they're at and where they want to be. So that documentation is really important too. And that's something valuable that you can gain as part of your consultancy skills. And you can utilize that in any area that you work in within the Salesforce ecosystem, especially as an admin, as you were saying, Maria. This is a good, skill set to add on, so that if you do want to take that next step in your organization, you do want to, move up that corporate ladder. These skills added on is going to build your confidence, but also show that you have, these different skill sets. And, you can move into a new role as an admin, and add on some more responsibilities as an admin within your organization. I think it is especially important if you are that solo admin. Everything comes back to you, and you're going to be incorporating all these different skill sets, and you're going to need to have those different skill sets. So any
Absolutely.
questions? I think we have a hello from, it looks like, Manasa. And anybody else have any questions? How are you today? Glad to be here.
Can't see any questions kind of popping up there just at the moment.
All right.
Do you think, Diane, with kind of thinking about that upskilling and that kind of salary increase, because those salary increases are there, aren't they, when you do upskill? But it is about having exposure, isn't it, to that environment and building that bank of experience to then go and take that next promotion. And
Right.
for example, when perhaps you are a solo admin, you know, building that confidence to go and speak to stakeholders about your project and what those results are, and actually asking those questions, those kind of probing questions. It's almost like an interrogation, isn't it, of trying to get all of the data.
Right.
So you can make sure that that project is what it needs to be. But also they are confidence builders, aren't they? And I think as coaches around that kind of change management, people really do find change quite difficult sometimes, don't they? So
Yes. Right.
When you're implementing these new changes because you see a fantastic new way of working, it
Yeah.
might be great as an admin to kind of think, yes, this is the solution. But actually, then you've got to be able to coach people
You
and
got to be able to
work
convince
on that.
others.
Yeah, work on that change management program, haven't you, to get everybody else on board. And I think sometimes once you've got the foundations of that admin, you're in the thick of it, aren't you? But this kind of just adds an additional bow, an additional string to your bow to be able to make sure that you can then kind of really develop that role as much as you want, can't you? Once you've
And
got those
develop those relationships with others within your organization, so that you're meeting their needs. And again, convincing others that, I think this is what we need. This is our next step that we need to take. Here's the process that we need to implement. You're right. Again, it can really, it can add on to not only add on to your skill set, but really can, help to, if you want to take that next step, you're being seen then as that thought leader in your organization. You're the one that is, responsible for implementing that project. And it is going to give you that experience. It's going to challenge you, and it will, again, broaden your experience, especially as a solo admin, if you can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. can't see any questions popping up. I don't think you can. Can you, Diane? I can't
No, I
see
just I
anything
don't see
in here.
right now. We still will hang out for a little bit more. Again, if
Yeah,
you're if you're thinking about, again, a little bit more about what consultancy skills can do for you, again, I really do feel like this is, if you are sitting at that administrative role and you're thinking, what can I do next? How can I, add something to my portfolio, so to speak, that is going to, not only add onto my salary, but add onto my role possibilities, to my responsibilities. I think that looking into consultancy skills and adding that on can really help. Again, not only in the hard skills that you gain, as in business analysis skills, project management skills, but also on a level of your soft skills, your confidence, your communication style, learning to deal with others. That is going to also add on to your skills, and it's going to help you be a more well-rounded admin and maybe get to that next step. It's not just for people that are thinking about going into a consultancy role. I think we have to preface that as well. It's not just about going into a consultancy role. It's really more about what you learn and how to utilize that in whatever role that you're in the Salesforce ecosystem.
yeah, I would totally agree with that, Diane. It's not just that particular area, is it? Those skills can actually be used in various other roles as well, and
Right.
really complement and give you that greater knowledge, greater knowledge of that role and how those projects might work, even from from all different aspects.
Right.
When you are looking at perhaps taking a project to somebody, is about, how do you approach that? Sometimes we kind of get that bit of imposter syndrome, don't we, when we have to kind of put something forward, or so it's about working on all of those softer skills as well as giving you the practical skills to be able to go and make sure that you harvest that information and you're doing the back end of that consultancy.
Right.
But yeah, actually just kind of communicating what those needs might look like, and also taking on board perhaps that kind of that pushback, because not everything is perhaps going to be ticked off on a project.
Right.
So how do you kind of deal with that pushback from something that you think is a really good thing to implement? So it's so much more, isn't it, than just
Right.
kind of learning that business analysis. It does give you the whole package, really.
It does. And again, if you're an administrator, it can help. If you're going even into development or a Salesforce
Yeah,
architect, you're
yeah,
overseeing those projects and implementing those, and having those key skill sets is really going to help you. So it's, again, it's not just about, oh, I think maybe I want to go into Salesforce consultancy. No, it's really more about adding on to where you are as well, and being able to enhance your position where you're at, deal with others, build up that confidence, and be able to, again, feel comfortable, where you're at, and more confident, and not have to experience so much of that imposter syndrome, for sure.
yeah. We definitely want successful projects. I think
Yes.
there is that side of that technical ability, isn't it, and that technical knowledge. But actually, when those projects fail, it is down to that kind of poor business analysis, or kind of not having that that correct project management timeline. So it's those things, isn't it? You've definitely got the technical ability. So it's about how do you make those
Right.
projects then successful and come to fruition.
And others don't have that technical ability.
Mm.
That's what you have to remember, is that you're talking to people within the organizations that are taking a different view of why their system needs to be there and what the requirements are they need, but they don't have that technical background. So you have to get to their level, and again, talk to them on, why these important changes need to be implemented, why this project is going forward, what are the processes, staying on budget. Again, I love that too. And justifying that changes that are going to take place, and how to stay on budget. That's what they're interested in. They're interested in the why. Why are we doing this? And what's the necessary steps that we need to do? Who do we need to get on board to help this happen? And you can be that person, and you can learn how to, again, address those to the different stakeholders and users that you're talking to. So, well, great. I think we've been on for about 15 minutes now, and we don't have any more questions coming in, I don't think. But if there are questions, definitely pop them in or respond or comment to this session, and we will get back to you. We'd love to talk to you more in detail about consultancy skills, how maybe Supermoms can help you with that and add on to your consultancy skills, no matter where you are in the spectrum of a Salesforce career. Especially, I think it's important if you're sitting there in a Salesforce admin role and you're wondering what your next logical step might be. This might be a great upskill for you, and we'd love to talk to you more about that and see where your professional, personal goals are at and how we might be able to support you in that effort and in that move. So great.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Diane.
Yes, thank you, Maria, for joining us. Have a lovely day, everybody. And again, if you have any questions or comments, do feel free to comment, and we will make sure to address those.
We'll keep an eye on them, and then we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.